With Investing Insights. Speaking with me today is Ted O'Connor, President and CEO of Azincourt Uranium. Ted, thank you for joining me today.
It's a pleasure. Thanks, Vivian.
So Ted, I wanted to talk a little bit about what's going on with Azincourt. But first, I wanted to know a little bit more about what caught your attention with Peru.
Well, back when I worked with Cameco, we were looking around the world. Once the uranium price started to increase in 2004, 2005, we really started looking at different models in different places. And I was aware of some research that was done by Queen's University in Kingston, Ontario. And they studied these unique volcanic rocks in southeastern Peru. And was always interested in it. So did our homework and eventually got down there.
Okay. So I've read a little bit that Peru stands to become a significant producer of uranium, if all goes well, in under 10 years. Can you talk about the exploration efforts and development in the region?
Yeah, for sure. I mean, it's the Macasani Plateau region of southeastern Peru has about 100 million pounds of known resources right now. And this all came about since 2007, when people started actively working down there in exploration. That, coupled with Peru, government changed the rules for uranium exploration. It used to be only by government, and then they allowed, private companies and public companies to start exploration. And what's happened in the last 5 or so years is this emerging uranium district. It's relatively low cost exploration because the deposits or the mineralization is shallow. So it has low discovery costs historically, less than 40 cents per pound, which by world standards is quite good. And the work that's been done on the processing and leaching of this mineralization is all pointing to low cost future production. When you start getting 100 million pounds in a relatively small confined region, it becomes a potential uranium producing region and an emerging district.
Okay. So I guess that's a little bit with what brought you to acquire Minergia just recently. So how did Minergia really come into your attention? Was that through Cameco?
It was. I was the first person from Cameco to go down and see the region in person with Vina Resources, and liked what I saw as far as the potential. There hadn't been any holes drilled yet.
Okay.
So basically negotiated an agreement with Vina Resources between Cameco and Vina, and then managed that partnership once the negotiations were done and actively explored. And I managed the whole, I guess we'll call it relationship, till 2013. The market after Fukushima, basically exploration stopped in Peru. So the last 2 years, the project has been in hiatus. So with Cameco's change in focus to focus on their core regions, I was aware that Peru was not one of their core regions, and I was also aware of some of the other competitor activity down there, and thought this would be a good acquisition to get potentially economic uranium resources into our company, and negotiated a deal with Cameco and Vina to acquire 100% of Minergia.
Well, with that acquisition, you also gained 2 assets, the Macusani and the Munyani projects. Macusani, which I'm to understand has had some previous work done, and from what I've read, is shaping up to be low cost, with great geology and great economics. Can you elaborate a little bit on why investors should really focus on these features?
Well, in the Athabasca Basin in Saskatchewan, where we also have a project, it's all about really high-grade, large deposits. This Macasani region is at the other end of the spectrum, relatively low grade, on the order of 250 to 400 ppm uranium, but there's a lot of uranium in the district, and it can be extracted inexpensively. So it's not always about grade, it's about economics. And the geology and economics we believe, come together in Peru because there's more to be found, and the mineralization that is known is essentially identical. Our competitor, Macasani Yellowcake, has similar mineralization. It's been studied jointly with ours, and it's identical. So it should be a region that has the capability of future production.
So with the current information you have on the Macasani asset at the moment, what is the potential for this project?
Well, the geology suggests there's also more to be found. So there's exploration blue sky, a lot of potential to increase resources in that area past the 100 million pound sort of ballpark that it's sitting at now. And like I said, it's low cost exploration because we're dealing with shallow deposits, so shorter drill holes, more rapid exploration and delineation drilling, and there's untested targets.
Okay. So with the current work going on at the Patterson Lake North joint venture, what are your plans moving forward with these Peruvian assets?
Well, the projects have been in hiatus for about 2 years. So the first thing we will be doing is basically returning to active exploration. And that starts with community agreements. There are 2 local affected communities in the region. So starting to re-talk to them. It'll be that they'll be seeing the same faces, mine plus the people that remain in Minergia, and then start really working on the, I guess we'll call it the environmental permitting with the Peruvian government to return to active exploration drilling. In the meantime, we have a lot of drill core already that will be doing some value-added work like leach testing to try and put our own handle on the economics or potential economics of the Macasani mineralization.
Okay. And now we've kind of touched a little bit on this, the uranium in Peru being a little bit of an emerging district. Then you also have the Athabasca Basin and Patterson Lake, which is also shaping up to be quite a promising uranium district. How are you positioned, Azincourt positioned in front of investors with these 2 properties now?
Well, I think our focus since we became a uranium company in May of this year with the Patterson Lake North PLN joint venture, we always were talking about trying to grow with pounds in the ground. So to differentiate ourselves with the investment community to really have this Athabasca blue sky, good solid project that's been around, seen a lot of work already, and there's great targets, but also adding potentially economic pounds in the ground. So we're growing in that direction because exploration is speculative, but pounds in the ground is more real and easy to value.
So it's a little bit more concrete.
Exactly.
Yeah. So because Patterson Lake is such a hot button these days, I wanted to know a little bit about what's going on at the Patterson Lake North joint venture with Fission.
Yeah, and our partner Fission, has consolidated their Patterson Lake South project with Alpha Minerals. So our new partner is their spin-out company called Fission 3.0, and it's essentially the same management and technical team, and they will be operating the project. And so day to day, nothing has changed. We have a great relationship as far as working together and knowing what needs to be done to find unconformity uranium deposits, especially in this area where they've had success at Patterson Lake South. But right now we've got essentially 3 target areas. One in the north, which is deeper, that we will be looking to generate targets for future. But right now, this winter, we're concentrating in the central and southern areas of the project where we have existing targets from the previous work and compilation that we've done. Plus, we'll be doing some electromagnetic ground geophysics and also radon in lake water and lake sediments to get some additional targets for testing this year. We've pre-collared 4 targets, meaning we've drilled through the overburden into bedrock, just waiting for the diamond drill to come back in once it gets cold enough and in January, and to start drilling right in bedrock and build up our other targets. So we've got 3,000 meters of drilling planned. It should get us at least 10 holes. That's a sort of a minimum for this winter program.
Okay, so it sounds like you guys are going to be busy up there.
Yeah, for sure.
And cold.
Oh yeah, it's minus 30 already there.
Yeah. So the last thing before I let you go, I wanted to pick your brain a little bit with your exploration experience, and I was hoping that you can give us a little bit of insight. As an investor, what should I be on the lookout to stay ahead of the herd when it comes to uranium exploration plays?
Well, uranium isn't all that different from any other commodity. It comes down to, the people, the projects, and the prospectivity of the area. In our case, in Saskatchewan, also the other P is our partner. So it shouldn't be any different, uranium versus any other commodity. But what I think people need to understand about uranium is the market is set to change from a supply-driven market to a demand-driven market. And what I mean by this is there's everything stacking up to say there will be a big gap between primary mine supply and the actual demand going forward. There's quite a few projects that have been put on hold, and they're good projects. Cameco and Areva have projects in Western Australia and Niger, respectively, that they've put on the shelf because the price environment that we're living with right now. And there's been a lot of production interruptions recently in Australia and Namibia with Rosing and Ranger mines, as well as problems with Talvivara, a nickel mine that was set to produce 1 million pounds of uranium a year going forward. And so not only is there projects waiting in the wings, but existing supply is under pressure and demand keeps going up. People smarter than me that study this, like the World Nuclear Association, they forecast in the next 10 years that there'll be 90 plus net new reactors in that 10-year time frame. And that basically takes into account all the reactors in Germany shutting off. So demand will be going up from 400 reactors to almost 500 reactors or more in that time span. So that's a 20% increase. And these reactors aren't small ones. They'll all require 500,000 pounds annually. And their first cores are 1.5 million pounds each annually on average. So demand is going way up. And so the price has to go up to kind of incentivize new production centers. And we're hoping to time it right that like 2017, 2019, we've got our projects in a place where people, will need that uranium.
It sounds like it's shaping up that they're going to.
Let's hope so. I believe it will.
Yeah. Well, thanks for joining me today.
It was a pleasure, Vivian. Thanks.
Thank you. That was Ted O'Connor, CEO of Azincourt Uranium. Azincourt trades on the Toronto Venture Exchange under the symbol AAZ. I'm Vivian Diniz for Investing Insights. Thank you for joining me.